So some announcements this evening while our student reps usually do those. I did want to make a few announcements also. I want to thank everyone for being on board tonight as we navigate this uncharted territory and work together to meet our responsibilities as a board and also to support the district administration, teachers, support staff, parents, students, and all community members during these turbulent times. Please note that we have suspended the presentations and committee reports in our meeting tonight. And should this virtual platform work well and the shutdown continue, then the plan may be to hold committee meetings via this online format as well going forward. Also, it should be noted that we did hold a virtual and executive session tonight at 6:30 p.m. just prior to this virtual board meeting. And with that, I ask if there is any public to be heard on the agenda items only. Okay, so are we not getting a response on anyone from the public to be heard on agenda items only?
Hold on one second. Any comments can be done in the chat window. If there's agenda items only. One person says no. When are we? I don't know. Can you see these, Colleen?
Yes.
I'm just seeing it now. Was an agenda shared? Yes, an agenda was posted online. It was available for the public to see on our website, and it was recently updated with only a small change that we will present a little bit later. That's all I'm seeing there was the agenda item updated, but I do see a chat that shows 4 questions. That's the only one I saw.
You can click on it, Colleen, to read them.
Oh, no. When are we calling off for the year is one of the questions.
That's not an agenda item.
It's not. So we can ask Kara Carty to hold that to public comment later in the agenda. Okay, if that's all we have on that, I would like to move forward then with an action item that we have. Board approval is needed to temporarily suspend Section 2, Paragraph 2 of Policy Number 006 regarding local board procedures and meetings during the term of the governor's statewide shutdown due to the coronavirus COVID-19. Do we have a motion to approve that action item?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
I'm sorry, who was the motion?
Linda, were you the motion and Clinton?
I was.
No, Wendy. I'm sorry, Wendy. And Clinton was the second, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Any questions or comments? Bob, are you able to unmute the board members that are muted so that if they have a question or a comment? I see Maggie Wright raising her hand.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think Tom is still muted also. He's waving his hand.
And Dave Schaefer is also muted.
Okay. All right, so any questions or comments on the action item?
Dave Gooden's unmuted. So is Beth, Mickey, Rizzo, everybody. Dr. Hunt's unmuted. Dr. Murray. Lisa's muted. Dr. Murray muted. Lori.
Rizzo's still muted too.
Jules, Lily's muted.
Hank.
Robert
Okay.
O'Connell's muted.
Oh, Christina's muted too. Okay, so I'll ask again, any questions or comments on that motion? All in favor then, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so then the motion passes. Diane, you have that?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the minutes, A and B. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, they pass. And do you have those also?
Yes.
Okay. So personnel, A through Q. Is there a motion to approve A through Q?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? I have a comment. I had asked about Q. If there is no season, my understanding is that they will not be paid. So just as an FYI. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so personnel, you have that, Diane.
Yes.
Okay. Finance is now A through K. I had some questions, well, A through K. Is there a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Again, if you look at that, if you look at D4, the art in residence, and the 3 assemblies and 1 presentation under E, if those events do not take place, we will not be responsible for those payments. Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that's finance, Diane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, property.
Colleen, just a second.
Yes.
I just saw an email come in from Mark that he can't get on. Mark
He
Fitzgerald.
texted me that he's on the phone.
All right. Okay.
You need to be unmuted though.
Bob, is Mark Fitzgerald available to speak? If
I don't see him in the list to unmute him. I've been looking for him since I got his email.
okay,
I'm still looking.
okay. While you're doing that, is it okay with everyone else to move on to property A through D?
So moved.
Second? Okay. Questions or comments?
Who was the second?
Wendy.
Thank you.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay with property, Diane?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to programming and curriculum, A through C. Is there a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Diane, are you good with curriculum?
Yes, I am.
Programming, okay. Okay, conferences and workshops, A through F. Is there a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
So Colleen, I'm assuming this is the same situation. If due to cancellations, we're not attending, then we're not liable for these costs.
That's
correct?
absolutely right. I did ask about that, and that's absolutely correct. Again, if they are canceled, we are not responsible for those costs associated with those workshops. And just to confirm that, Dr. Gooden, do you want to?
You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
If when they're canceled, even if we have paid a registration, it's refunded if the host cancels.
Who was the second?
I have Wendy as the
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, 2 minutes went by.
Okay. Okay, so on conferences and workshops then, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Good with conferences and workshops?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other business, A through C. Is there a motion?
Bob Catalano, could you unmute the following phone number, please? I
What?
can't. You're muted.
I'm looking, I don't see it. I'm looking in the list. I don't see the phone number.
Oh, you have his number?
Yeah, he just sent it to me.
Okay.
Was that for Mark
Yeah.
Fitzgerald, Christina? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're at other business, A through C. Is there a motion?
So moved.
What about D?
D, we can have discussion on D, but no vote because it's a first read,
Okay.
correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Colleen, hi, it's Mark Fitzgerald. I think
Hey,
I was
Mark.
unmuted.
Yeah, I found him.
Yes. Hi, thanks for joining us. Okay. So A through C is what we're looking at for other business. There is a motion
Second.
and a second. Any questions or comments?
Who was the second again?
Linda.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so D, is there any discussion on D? No? Okay. So you'll see those next month. So now we move into board comment. Any board comment?
One of the things that we're going to have to work on in the near future as a board is the budget as well. There hasn't been a relief yet as far as budget timelines or dates. We're still, currently we're on target to have some type of budget by, April, for preliminary, whatever you want to call it, the advertising, so we get everything done. But there also may be legislation that will be passing that may push when school districts have to have a budget completed. Although I'm not really sure how that would benefit us one way or the other. But we have to have a conversation with where we're at. We're going to do that this month, where finance was going to do a presentation to give an update to the entire board on where we're at currently with the budget and get the board's feedback and recommendations as far as what they want us to try to go with it with finance. So that's something that we have to also get on the radar real quick.
Christina, were you going to say
Yeah.
something on top of
Yeah.
that? Mhm.
I'm just thinking, part and parcel of that time. I know in the past we have done a deep dive within the finance committee, and I think we've at times even added an additional meeting when necessary. But that may be something that we would want to do, especially with new positions, to try to understand rationale and make sure that we are making as a district the best fiscal decision for our community as well. Obviously, these are trying times, and we just want to make sure that we are being diligent in making sure that our budget and any potential tax increase is held to a minimum.
Well, we're always very diligent when we're doing a budget. The board needs
Understood.
to give a recommendation on. We can't just say do a deep dive into one. The administration we've gone through all the points of looking at necessary positions. We went through looking at withdrawing expenses, looked at, things that were on the roadmap as far as projects are concerned. All that's been gone through. We are where we are with the budget. We made revenue projections based on, historical information, very similar to what we've done every, previous years. It really becomes now, what the board, where the board is at as far as, is there some projected goal that the board wants to get to? Is there, the full board has to give guidance to the finance committee, because if we're going to start talking about deep dive, I think we lost Christina. If we're going to start talking about deep dive from a board perspective, she's back. You can't just start doing a deep dive. I know that, but I'm very close with that budget. I know it. I know what, where we're at with it. And there's not a whole lot of leadway as far as what we could take out of it. In fact, there's no leadway as far as what we could cut or take out of the budget, unless the board wants to sit there and say, we want to be at a certain point, then we'll go back to administration and say, what would it take to be at that point? But we don't know what that point is. And that's where the board needs to provide direction, the full board.
So are we going to provide direction before we have a budget presentation, or when is that? How would you like that discussion to take place?
Well, like I said, what was planned for March in the finance committee was to give an overview of where we're currently at with the budget, as far as the changes to the budget, where the growth within the budget is, and where we are currently right now with the deficit and potential tax increase. And that's what we need to bring to the board to get direction to say, what do you want to do? Because right now it really comes down to, if we want to make changes to the budget, it really comes down to making cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the rug was pulled out from all of us, right? We can all agree to that. And we were hoping that we were going to get through the business part of this meeting tonight, which we've successfully done a lot of that. So really happy with that and everybody that's contributed to making that happen. Thank you, Bob Catalano, from all of us for making that happen. And to everyone else that had a hand in it. But we will need to get that presentation on the budget. So, Tom, you're absolutely right. We have to do that. We have to provide some direction. So in light of that, is the board saying they want to schedule, can we schedule a meeting specifically on that? Or do we wait until, my understanding is that we still do, even within the certain time constraints that we have, that we still have a little bit of time. Is that something that finance could do at the April work session? Or what would be your best recommendation for that?
If we do it at the April work session, we won't have a budget ready and to be advertised in May. We can do that. We have a month built into the schedule, but then that puts us back to what we worked so hard to get away from, with approving the budget at the end of June and trying to get everything out, within a couple of days. But I'm not saying that we have to decide this tonight. All I'm saying is I'm putting it on the radar that this is something that needs to happen, and that needs to happen unless the state changes timelines, which hasn't happened yet. I know that there may be some legislation that's being put forward to push it by a month or so, but it's still, we just got to get it on our radar.
Agreed.
Duly noted.
Okay. Any other board comment?
Yeah.
I just want to say something real quick that I'm just, obviously being new to the board, but I am amazed and very, very impressed with the reaction of the administrative staff to all this chaos that's gone on. You guys have been incredible, just how quickly and innovatively you've put things into operation. It's just, I'm awestruck.
Well, thank you for that segue, because I just want to mention that for the past for last week and this week, we have been operating under an enrichment framework in which we have not advanced our curriculum. We've just provided enrichment activities that were non-graded. But coming this Monday, March 30th, we will have rolled out and communicated to all of our students and our families what our online education is going to look like for the duration of the closure. We have been working on that. Currently, we're working with teachers to set up the Google Classrooms. We will communicate that all out with our families by the end of the week so that students will be able to start attending classes, lack of a better word, come Monday. We will be taking attendance. Those activities will be subject to grading. Just as much as we can make it like a regular classroom, we're doing that, but it will be through the Google Classroom format. My curriculum department has done a phenomenal job in putting that draft or putting that plan together. And we're currently this week implementing that plan on the back end with our teaching staff. So we should be ready by next Monday. And that will be to start with online learning for our students for the duration of the mandated closure. I know I've been asked many times, how long are we going to be closed? And quite frankly, I don't know. I know that Governor just closed us for 2 additional weeks, bumping up to the Easter, the spring break / Easter time. And I don't know if it will be extended beyond that. But for the time that we are under this mandated closure, all activities within the district are canceled. Those activities that we can reschedule, we were able to get back into school. We will do our level best to reschedule everything that we've had to cancel. We won't be able to get everything because it just depends on how long we stay closed. And I don't know how long we're going to be closed. That is, we are operating now under a state mandate to be closed. And when that is lifted, we will start back with regular classes in our buildings. Until such time, all events are canceled, and we will be communicating out with our families by the end of the week. A very extensive plan to provide education online. I will say that we are a brick and mortar school. Turning a switch to become a cyber school is a big feat. And while it remains to be seen what issues are still out there, I think we've done a really good job trying to navigate and anticipate those potential issues. So the team has done a great job. We'll be ready to start that. Let the board know that we'll be ready to start that next Monday. We will communicate out, and we will be school will be closed until for the duration that the state deems that necessary. Once we're back into school, we'll take a look at the activities that have been canceled, and we'll try to reschedule as best we can.
And Dr. Gooden, how did you make out with the survey that came out? Did most people respond to that?
We had close to 8,000 responses. So we had a really good response level back. We do have some students that we are going to have to give special focus to, some families that may not have internet access or devices. And so that's also part of our plan to meet those needs to the best of our ability. And we are working on that. And that's all happening this week.
In addition to Wendy's shout out for everything that administration and curriculum has done. Really, the communication has been top notch. I've heard as a parent from other parents that the communications on this, even when you don't know, just to say, I don't know, and be honest about that, is very much appreciated during this time. So thank you for all of that for our community.
Agreed.
Okay, any other board comments?
And also
Go ahead.
And also to our teachers. I know a number of our teachers have, continuously reached out to students in their classes. I know some of the elementary, middle school teachers have held Zoom meetings with their classes, during this time with enrichment programs. So a shout out to our teachers for their continued effort and support of our students and our students' continued learning. It's really been a full community effort from food services and making sure that we're able to feed our students all the way through, teaching, administration, finance, etc. It's just, and certainly, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Dr. Murray with all of the work that she and her team have put in. So thank you all. It's just been, and her crew with the communications. It's just been outstanding. Just couldn't be prouder to be part of this organization and this district. You all are rock stars.
We unmute Jules.
Dr. Gooden, I am also hugely impressed with the work that you have done and your staff in all aspects of this. This certainly has been difficult. Just to make clear, though, you said that starting on Monday, the work that will be assigned will be graded work.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's keeping with FAPE and IDEA, and we've got that. The state has got that figured out, or
that I think it's a work in progress. We're doing the best we can to anticipate FAPE issues that may arise. I know our special ed staff have our supervisors have been really diligent about trying to provide teletherapy and other resources to bring to bear to meet our student, to meet our obligations to our students and their IEPs. So that's certainly been on the forefront. We also have contingency plans in case we do have difficulty in meeting servicing a student. So that's all part of our planning that we've been doing for the last week or so. So yeah, we're trying to cover as many bases as we can.
That's great. And I'm not sure that everyone's aware of how difficult and innovative then your staff has had to be, how much work behind the scenes goes on in order to meet those needs between speech pathologists and everyone, a whole litany of people involved. So thank you for that, for meeting our marginalized students too, and the needs of all our students. Thank you.
Welcome. Well, I really have to commend my team. And I have a phenomenal administrative team that have put long hours in, and we've often had to solve problems that we've never had to tackle before. So it's all new to us. It's a learning curve, but the staff is exceptional, and my teaching staff, my understanding, they just got started on this today. They're excited to go. They're ready to start teaching again, and so we're really looking forward to what we can do.
Hey, Jules. So what are you hearing from the kids?
Well, from my friends, at least the senior class, they would like to be back in school as soon as possible, just because end of the year, a lot of senior stuff going on. I haven't heard much, obviously, from like the elementary kids. I know my little cousins are in elementary school, and they are very bored. So yes, that's what I have to say about that. Yes.
Well, we also want to get our kids back in school, and especially our seniors. No doubt. Yeah. But until we have to operate under the state mandate. So we'll be closed as long as the state deems that's necessary. I hope that's not going to go too long, but that's really where we're at.
Yes, makes sense.
I have one question and was wondering if in the survey you got this question from parents. Families that only have one computer, and it is the parents, and they're working from home all day. So that really limits family access to the computer for any online training. Have you gotten any questions or comments on that?
Well, we've actually already prepared for that. We have a very large set of laptops that we're able to deploy. And so our survey that we put out, that we ran until Sunday night, part of that was to address that need. And so we are going to be distributing out laptops for students that don't have those and don't have access to those. And that will be happening this week as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any other board comment? All right, public to be heard.
The chat is now open for everybody. There's a couple questions in there from before, Colleen.
I see that.
Okay.
Again, okay, here we go. Well, is senior prom canceled?
Once again, as long as we're out of school, everything's canceled. So it depends on how long this closure actually happens. As long as we're closed, events are off the table.
Okay. Then next we have,
Well, the same thing, it says if spring breaks.
will
Still
spring
take place,
break
still up in
take
the air.
place? Yeah.
It's taking place right now. Once again, it's still, we're subject to, we got a little bit of information today from the state that indicated that students are going to be back in class by April 9th. We communicated that out. We're actually looking for a little guidance from the state on that because it does bump right up against the spring break. And so my guess is we'll be having a little bit more conversation about that from the state coming down to us. At this point right now, we've been told that teachers will be back in on the 7th and 8th and that students will be on the 9th. And that's right before the Easter break. I'm not sure if they're going to hold to that or if anybody actually looked at the calendar when they made that decision. But I know that there's been a lot of questions since that came out at 2:00 today.
Yep, and there's a lot more questions going on in here. Do you want me to jump to those, Dr. Gooden?
Yeah, just start going down the questions.
Okay. How will technology resources be distributed to families without computers? That's more of an operational question.
Yeah,
right?
we're either going to set it up so that we contact those families and they actually drive out to get it, and that's probably our preferred way. But barring that, we'll have to make deliveries.
And are the online classes available for kindergarten as well?
Yes, all grades K through 12 are part of this scenario.
Okay. And how is this going to work with PARE? PARE?
I'm not sure what that is.
Me neither. What about the effect?
How's
Go
it
ahead.
gonna work with parents?
I believe that's the
Parents. Oh, okay.
Pardon?
It just says, how's this going to work with parents? I don't know what that's meant by that.
Figure out, yeah.
With parents still working.
I think we addressed that earlier, though. I think he said he's going to give those devices out. But
yeah.
And will this have any effect on the extended school year on ESY?
Right off I would say yes. I think it's definitely going to have an impact on ESY as far as broadening out the number of students that we have in ESY. And it's probably, we've had discussions about lengthening ESY throughout the summer. But it's still, once again, it's still, some of it depends on how long this situation lasts.
And how will teachers take attendance?
We've actually set up a means by which students will be required to log into their class and answer a question each day. And when they answer the question, and they'll have, they'll have a certain amount of time to answer the question, and that's how we'll calculate attendance.
Okay. And will teachers use Zoom?
They're using Google Classroom.
Okay.
But I know that I know that our teachers are collaborating and working together with Zoom. But I believe most of it's coming through our Google Classroom.
Right. Do the students need to access a keyboard when e-learning, meaning is an iPad acceptable to use also?
Yeah, I would say yes. They can use iPad. I don't see a difference between an iPad or
Bob and
or
Kelly
PC
are nodding their heads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And if school comes back into session at some point, has there been any consideration to extend the school year? And if so, how long?
Right now, we're operating under our current calendar. We've not anticipated any plans to extend the school year beyond where we're currently at.
That's all state dependent.
That's right.
That's correct.
Are there going to be any provisions for IEP children? Meaning, how will we be able to meet IEP needs from home or remotely?
But that's going to be that's a broad question, and special ed supervisors, special ed teachers will be working with their students to meet their needs. But that's a big question.
What about working parents? We both work in healthcare and will not be able to enforce a curriculum.
I can't answer that.
I can't answer that one.
And then it says, gosh, there's a ton here. How am I going to take finals? We can't answer that either. What about donations? Do we need any donations for laptops or other devices?
Okay, say that one more time.
Do we need any donations for laptops or other devices?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Colleen, you missed a question above that.
I know. I'm.
You can't answer every question.
No, we're gonna have to. There's 35 questions here.
Just keep rolling.
57.
Yep.
Okay.
You missed one. It says, will quarter 3 still have its own grade, or will we have one semester long grade for end of year?
Well, quarter 3, yeah. How am I going to take? Do you need donations? You said we're okay with that.
Dave, you didn't answer that question.
Colleen, if I may, Dave, is there going to be sort of an FAQ combined? Because a lot of these might fall under something that we could proactively put out this week to try to address.
You're right. That was our plan, to take the questions that were put into the chat room and develop a FAQ.
Dave, I think this is an important one. Are our classes going to be kind of live teaching sessions or live streamed, or are they going to be homework and decentralized where students kind of learn at their own pace and learn at home?
It's asynchronous. The students won't be signing into a first period and to receive live instruction. What they will get is they'll be able to participate in discussions online, and they'll be able to get their assignments. They'll be able to access resources that the teacher posts. They'll be able to submit assignments back to the teacher, and the teacher can provide feedback, but it will not be live teaching.
Right. Thank you.
There are just a ton of questions here that need to keep coming, that keep coming in. So I think we've answered a lot. Some of them are repetitive at this point, and I don't want to not answer them or not give people the opportunity not to ask them, but can we get a transcript of these and turn it into a frequently asked question list and get that information out? Bob, is that something we can do? I mean, we're up to like 48 new messages here and haven't even cleared the other ones yet.
Well, one of the questions that keep coming up is that I think would be good to answer is, what's the length of the school day?
Yeah, that is up here repeatedly.
There is no length of school day per se. Student logs in, they do their assignments, they do their work, they get counted for attendance, and when they get done, they're done.
And yeah, did you just want to comment at all, Dr. Gooden, about the Keystones? Because I see that coming up in here too.
Keystones have been the Keystones have been waived, and the PSSAs have been waived. The AP exams have been modified to a 45-minute online a test covering the content up to the beginning of March.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, and thank you for answering some of those. We did our best to accommodate public comment, but I think there's so many at this point. We are going to get a transcript, get answers out to answer those questions. And then, as you've been doing such a good job with the communications, if you could continue with that and get this out so everybody has an idea of some of these questions.
Yes.
Colleen,
yes.
Colleen, I'm sorry. I do want to interrupt. There's one other really important question that's been asked a number of times, which is we have a number of students who actually have belongings in school, like their textbooks and so forth, and supplies that they need in order to continue their learning processes. Is there going to be any kind of solution that Springboard would be able to provide for those individuals, or Dr. Gooden, would you be able to share what, or Dr. Murray, what type of plan we may have in place in those to address those circumstances?
We don't have a plan to let students back into the building. We tried to make clear that students were to take whatever they needed when they left on Thursday. At this point, we've not let students come into the building to get things because it defeats the whole purpose of being shut down. And I realize there's students who have things in their lockers, et cetera, but we've just not let kids go back into the classrooms or back into the buildings.
Okay, and with that, I do want to thank everybody again for coming, ask you to stay safe. Yes.
There was a couple posts that said that they've reached out many times to the superintendent and school directors and got no response. I'm not aware of us not responding if we have information or requests coming to us. And I know Dr. Good and his staff is trying to do the best they can to, respond to many questions, phone calls, emails. So I think, again, it goes back to that we're doing everything we can to ensure that the students have a learning experience, a good learning experience over the next couple of weeks. There are many things that are outside of our control. We're working within an environment that, is new to everyone. And, is it perfect? No. Will it be perfect? I think we're getting there. I think, but at the end of the day, not everyone's going to be happy, but we're doing our best. And I know the administration is doing their best. And there's many things that are happening outside of our control.
Colleen, this is Mark Fitzgerald. Can you hear me?
I can. Can everybody hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know there was some discussion about utilization of the raise hands function. So if people wanted to actually make a public comment, we've been essentially just answering posts that have been placed on, through the Zoom meeting function. But I know there have been plans that somebody actually wanted to make a comment where, again, this is a comment section. It's not, we don't have to necessarily respond, but if they want to make comment, that there should be that opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob, are you able to turn that function on so that comments can be made? I mean, we have a mixture of comments and questions in the Zoom group chat.
And remember, comment is the comment section. It's not necessarily a classically Q&A section. So people do want to make a comment to the extent that this can be answered, they can be answered. But if not, certainly the comment can be noted for the record.
And I think at this point, because we're overwhelmed with a number of those, if people want to make comments, that's great, or put a question out there. But I don't think that we should comment anymore on those questions, but rather put that.
Carlene, what Mark is saying is we have to open it up to some.
I would
right.
open this. I would open this up for comment.
There's one hand raised right now. I'll unmute her. That's name's Judy Denning. Okay.
Okay.
Judy, you're unmuted.
Hi, Judy.
Well, I'm speaking for a lot of the assistants who are just having great anxiety over what our role is going to be.
Hold on. Can we make sure the person identifies who they are and their address?
Yes, this is Judy Denning.
And your address?
310 Tavistock Drive in Royersford.
Okay.
No, I'm just speaking because there's a lot of assistants. We've been sending text messages back and forth and just really concerned over what our role would be and how we plug in and would we be paid beyond the 30th, because our families are counting on the incomes and our insurances to survive. And so I guess I'm just looking for some reassurance somewhere that this will be addressed and taken care of.
Well, Judy, we appreciate your concern. We hear that from a lot of different community members. I think everybody has some not only health scares, but financial concerns also. So we thank you for your comment. We will we will address these concerns as we have more information available to us. We're constantly in discussions and conversations in these types of meetings here that we were able to get online and do. And we have to watch for the legislation. There's so many different moving parts, and it's a very fluid situation. If Mr. Fitzgerald or Dr. Gooden want to, or Mr. DeBello, if you want to add anything to that.
What she's asking about is personnel related within the district,
Right.
and we really can't talk about that.
Should I go? The next one?
Thank you,
Next
Judy.
one is Serini D. Serini, you're unmuted. Muted. And I apologize if I said your name.
No, that's good. Hi, my name is Srini Dhanankula, and my address is 516 Dean Drive, Phoenixville. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank the board and the teachers and the school staff for all the good work that you're doing. But the one request we have, I think like a lot of people have posted the same thing. Can we have a Q&A session, if possible, every week so that we can ask questions like this? Or if possible, can you keep a place where you have all the FAQs, where we can post the questions and then you can consolidate them to FAQs, and then that gives us access to a lot of information.
Let me respond back to that. At the bottom of on the website, at the bottom, the directions on how to access this meeting, we have set up a email address, and it's titled Board Comment, and all the questions and et cetera are going to that email address, and we're checking that. And so using that email address and what comes in on that email address and our chat feature that we just had, we'll be putting out the FAQ based upon that information. But there is a board comment email address that is available to the public.
Thank you, Dr. Goody.
Okay, next one is Michelle Bolonsky. Michelle, you're unmuted.
Hello, all. Thank you for all the work you are doing. It is greatly appreciated. I am one whose daughter was out of school, 8th grade, on Thursday. So every belonging she has is in the school in her locker. And some of the assignments that have been coming through are in the textbooks and things that she would normally have with her. So I'm wondering if there's any effort to make sure that's online.
So that's a good point, Kelly. I think we've got to take that into consideration that some of the kids' textbooks are in the school. So I think we have to communicate that out to the teachers to ensure that they're not relying on textbooks that the students don't have.
Right.
One of the things that we've really stressed with our teachers as we roll this out is the flexibility aspect, understanding that families are in various different positions, family situations are very different, and that's one of the things we're absolutely stressing. We do have guidelines for our teachers with this rollout, so that, again, flexibility is key for our teachers, for our families, and for our students. So that is one of our biggest pillars with our rollout plan.
We have, I don't know why this was, Ashika. There you go.
Ashika. Is it Ashika?
I'm sorry.
I had a quick question that a lot of the students have been asking. Since we're getting close to marking period 3 ending, what are we doing about grades? Are we going to end it, or are we closing it completely? Or like, are we going on this quarter, or are we just extending the semester?
The discussions we've had revolve around splitting the difference, adding a little on to, or changing the date for the end of the 3rd marking period and the beginning of the 4th marking period, so we can try to get the 4 marking periods in. So we'll have to make those adjustments to the marking periods, and so that we should be able to accomplish that.
Okay, because I know for a lot of our classes classes and for some of the stuff going on, people tried to like make up tests or needed to make up tests and stuff like that. So that would majorly hurt their grade if we just ended it.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we've got Kara Carty. Kara, you're up.
Let's just remember, please, to announce the name and address. I think we may have missed that on Michelle Bolonsky's address.
Kara Carty, name and address, please.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I have a question about.
We need her address.
Yeah, we need your address.
Your name and address, please.
My home address.
Yes.
Oh, Limerick.
What's the address?
And my name's Kara.
What's the address?
4503 Waterford Way.
I believe she's
Yeah.
a student.
Okay, Kara, what's your question?
I was wondering how like the end of the year is gonna be. End of the year date's gonna be like determined.
Right now, we're operating on the current calendar, but that could change based on the direction we get from the state.
Right now it ends at the normal date.
So what about graduation also? Will there be a ceremony
Again, we're
or
operating
what?
on the current calendar, and that as we get closer and closer, will determinations will be made based on what guidance we get from the state, what direction we get from the state, and what mandates we get from the state.
And remember that because this is very fluid, there are things that we cannot answer. We don't see the end of the year per se, but we have to plan for it, so it depends on where we're at as far as our school year, and we'll have to make plans. And as he said, it's very fluid.
Okay.
Thanks, Michelle Bolonsky, for sharing your address.
Yes.
Thanks. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, any other stuff that you have there?
Two more. Stacy Seiler.
Hi, I'm Stacy Seiler. I live at 107 Fur Drive in Collegeville. And this is just more of just a tidbit of information. I'm a university professor, and a lot of online publishers are allowing free online access to students for textbooks. So that might be something that the curriculum committee is able to look into. I know like for our curriculum, F.A. Davis and Elsevier and McDavis have been amazing. So
thank you for sharing that, Stacey.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for all your hard work.
Thank you.
All right, last one is Dylan's iPhone. Dylan, name and address, please.
You talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, I must have joined by accident.
All right.
Yay.
I muted him.
Thank you. Okay.
That's it for the hands.
Okay. Ironically, I see in the chats that we're shutting this down with questions unanswered, and we're not trying to do that. There are a whole lot. I see 135 new messages in the Zoom group chat, so that will be turned into an FAQ. What is a reasonable time frame that folks can expect to get that correspondence, so we could let them know when to expect that? Anything, Dr. Gooden, on that? Maybe within a few days, perhaps?
I would say I'm going to go out there on a limb and say by Wednesday we should be able to get an FAQ up.
We'll be able to get most of them answered. There seems to be some confusion, Colleen, where some people don't know how to raise the hand. And I think what the understanding is you have to click on your picture or your screen and go to the three dots, click on that three dots, and then you'll be able to raise your hand.
We do have another question if we're going to keep taking. We have two more hands.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we've got Leanne Graham. Leanne, name and address.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Hey, Robert Dink's muted again.
Leanne, my name is Leanne Graham, 136 Oak Creek Drive, Limerick. I was wondering if Dr. Gooden can elaborate on students with IEPs and how the material will be delivered from a technology perspective, knowing that some of our students in the special ed program need additional assistance. And as a working parent, I'm trying to understand, and thank you for all the information that you provided, but I'm just trying to understand how the material is going to be delivered to my student in a learning support classroom.
Okay. Not sure if I'm the best person to answer this, but I'll say that, everything's going to be online per se. There's no hard materials unless, and I think that the way the special ed supervisors are looking at this is they do have students that are going to be outliers that they're going to have to make different accommodations for, and they would be communicating with the families those accommodations. But as far as the learning sports teachers, they're going to be included in those Google Classrooms as well. But that's a piece where certainly the special ed supervisors will be working with their families to make sure that their students are being serviced. Okay. Kelly, Dr. Murray, do you need to add anything to that? Do you know something more than I do?
He's muted. Kelly's muted.
Well, I would like to say for future topic, maybe on another meeting, if we can look at digital access for students with special ed, such as Digitability. I know that was launched previously on Springford, but I really want to revisit this in the future in terms of what access is being provided and how students in special ed are being instructed digitally.
So just to add to what Dr. Gooden had just shared, what we are doing, you mentioned working with the special education supervisors to make sure that we're understanding each of the student needs and how this is going to look within this medium. So I know there was a question earlier about looking at digital online access of various publishers. That's something that our curriculum department has already done. And we've built a library of online resources that could meet a variety of different needs. So the curriculum is being planned with this in mind. And what it's going to come down to is working very closely with the special education supervisors, the special education teachers, and understanding, again, with the families to see what is needed now that the medium has changed within instruction. So that is absolutely one of our top priorities and part of our major discussions as we're rolling this out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, Bob Catalano.
Yes.
Linda Fazzini's muted.
No, she's not anymore.
Maggie Wright's muted. And I did see one of the questions popped up that I think we should address, Dr. Gooden, is there was a concern that students have meds in the nurse's office, and they're concerned that if this school closure continues on, they would like to get access for those meds. So that's something, you don't have to answer that now. I'm just saying that that's something that we need to think about and figure out how we move forward with that.
Why do I think I saw a response to that if you had, and maybe it was in one of the correspondence pieces, but that if you had meds in the nurse's office, that you should contact your health provider to get scripts to have this filled, to have those at home, because schools closed. They weren't giving access. Now, I could be wrong, but I thought that I did see that.
You're
somewhere.
correct, Colleen, that was posted.
Okay. Because that is an option. I mean, that's true. They need those things, but the best and the quickest course of action might be to go to the health provider, have them call it into your pharmacy, and go pick it up.
Right.
Those places are open.
Yeah, that's the direction we've been giving folks that have contacted us about that, to first see if they can get another script and explain the situation to their medical provider, and see if that works. And so I'm not aware of us getting any callbacks on that, but that's been our message.
We've got two more hands raised currently. We've got Heather G. Heather, you're up. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Heather Galley, and it's 265 Washington Street, Norrisford. I have a question about having maybe a pre-access to this Google Classroom, if there will be a test run for like attendance.
I guess I'm asking you to elaborate a little bit more on your question. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking.
So we're not all logging in at 9 a.m. on Monday and say it's not working, and then our students going to get frustrated, or that so then the parents can at least try to do it ahead of time, so then we know. Like, my son's already gone into Google Classroom what is going to be different logging into Google Classroom on Monday than it was this morning?
I'm gonna bump this to Dr. Murray. Can you handle this one?
Muted.
He's muted.
Absolutely. I mentioned flexibility earlier, and that's going to be one of the paramount pieces to this. We understand that this is going to be a shift for our families, and that's one of the things we're stressing with our teachers. So Monday, when this goes live, it is not, the attendance piece is not going to be a hard time frame. You have to schedule your attendance and sign in at 9 a.m. It's not designed that way. What it will be is a question posted in the page in the Google Classroom, and where students will log in, enter their name, answer a brief question within under a minute, and that's going to chart their attendance. And that can be done at any point during the day. That's one thing that's really important that we're focusing on, is that this will be asynchronous instruction, because some families will need to work in the morning, some will need to work in the evening, and so forth. So flexibility is going to be the key. We don't necessarily have the intention of rolling this out earlier where we're going to have a test run, but that's what Monday's going to be. You will get the username, login, all of that information. And again, Monday there will be lessons posted, with the caveat that we know this is the first time you're logging into these classes with your children, and we want to welcome them in. We want to connect with them, and that's one of the most important things. Yes, you will see academics, but you're going to see and feel that welcoming environment and this all hands on deck, we got you. So that's one thing that's really important that we're stressing, is flexibility is the key in helping everyone through this.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the last person has their hand raised, but they don't have a microphone. So.
Okay.
Well,
we've answered. Go ahead, Tim.
Real quick. I mean, I know we jumped over, and I know that this question's been answered, but again, I don't think we fully understand prescription plans and doctors and everything else. Certain people that have certain prescriptions based on their insurance cannot just get a refill.
Actually, Tom, from my number of years in the health insurance industry, typically at times like this, insurance companies will provide some relief for prescriptions specifically for this reason. So in the event that, for example, somebody's traveling, or medicine's left in another location, or in a school or in an office, especially in these circumstances, insurance companies are willing to go ahead and do early refills and provide the appropriate level of coverage.
Okay,
I have a comment on that, though.
In these times, again, all I'm saying is that this is something that we should think beyond a little bit, because everything that we think may or could happen may not happen, and we need to be able to respond appropriately.
And I have another comment. It often depends on what that medication is. If it's a controlled substance of any kind, there's multiple refill regulations on that. And then
Colleen, might I suggest that if we're at the point of closing public comment, that if there's any further comment by the board, we do so after closing public comment?
Yes, because this does seem to be board comment now. And Diane, we don't want to cut you off. We just let's close the public comment, finish up with that, and then move towards adjournment. We'll have the FAQ hopefully out by Wednesday to answer the majority of these questions that have been reported. I do hope that that our guests found this helpful. But as we do close public comment, Diane, did you want to just wrap up with what you were saying there?
Well, the other point is, and I saw it come up on the chat quite a bit, is if you're asking for a refill on an EpiPen at $300, that's going to be tough for a lot of families.
It is going to be tough for a lot of families, right?
But it's $300 for an EpiPen.
And I 100% hear what you're saying, but I also think we're in extraordinary times. And if it's no in the building, it needs to be no in the building so that we can get back to the business of education. There's multiple sides to that, as there is to every coin that's out there right now. But not it's tough. It's tough. I don't know, Dr. Gooden, if you're thinking about pulling those medications outside. I don't know.
If we open this up, then you got to open up for everybody. You can't.
You're right.
Under the circumstances, you can't show favoritism based on the issue. I mean, that wouldn't be fair to everybody else, because in their mind, whatever they need to get is just as important also.
Colleen, just food for thought. Food for thought. This question has been posed to me by other districts.
Okay.
They've utilized the services of either the school nurse or an LPN that works under the school nurse to come in and for the limited period of a day or so be deemed essential personnel to redistribute back medication as may be necessary. So that some districts are tackling that issue in that particular fashion.
But we could be extremely clear, and I have no problem saying this, that if we need to have a nurse or somebody come in to get medication distributed to the students, then that's something that we need to look at. But in no uncertain terms, does that mean we are opening it up to textbooks, sneakers, my favorite Phillies hat, whatever it may be? That's not what we're talking about.
This was prescription medication.
Prescription medication.
Right.
That's it.
Right. I think this is something
very
that
clear right here. Nothing other than prescription medication, and that will be worked through with the superintendent. However they can work it out. If it has to be worked out, let's just end it. Let's just end it here.
Disagree with that, Tom, but that's just one of board of.
Well, Clinton, I'm kind of feeling, I think maybe the way you are too, because if you think about it, a lot of times, is it the only EpiPen or the only inhaler that's gone to school? I have twins that had inhalers for exercise-induced asthma. Certainly wasn't the only inhaler that I sent into the building.
Pauline,
So
I have an
just-
EpiPen and it's one at a time.
I think that is something that we need to look into as what the legalities are and how we're able to do it, and it should be looked at, considered if possible.
I don't think there's legalities with this, Dr. Wright. It is if we allow parents or a nurse to go in and get the medicine.
Yeah, and then we just have to make sure that we, Clinton, that we are actually putting in place a way for us to verify identity when we're distributing medication to parents. Again, there may be parents that we're not familiar with, but I think that it's absolutely something that we should explore and try to put in place, because again, there are medications that folks need, and if we go on beyond the mid-April timeframe, folks are going to be in need of that. So I certainly hope we can come up with a good solution for that.
And what maybe a solution, something to consider would be, would our police be able to distribute it or shuttle it to them? And we don't have to answer that now, but it's a thought if it absolutely has to happen.
Why don't we provide a summary of how much medication that we're talking about? Then we can have a different conversation. If it's 20 lockers versus
it's not
400
lockers, it's in the nurse's
of medicine. I mean, nurses.
Steve, can you get, or Dr. Gooding, can you get a count on something like that? Or Mr. Rizzo, can you do that?
How are they going to do that?
We're going to start letting everybody know.
No. How about we reach out to the nursing?
Here's an idea. I make a motion that allows Dr. Gooden to work with his staff to figure out if there is a dire need for some medication within the school building, that he will take care of that with his staff.
And he will decide on how that's done, because the superintendent decides how.
I got it.
Medication.
Yeah, how about instead of a motion, Tom, I understand what you're saying. How about, is there general consent by the board?
Whatever you want to call it. I'm just trying to.
I got it.
Other districts have done this. I'm sure that we can figure this out for our students that are at need.
Okay. Well, on that note, then, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Colleen, I just want to make a very, very quick board comment, which, I appreciate everybody's participation, all the comments and questions, and everybody's taking the time out to attend today's meeting. There are so many things we don't know. This is evolving on a daily basis. I work with the legislative committees, and every day we're getting new information, and it's a moving target. And we're doing our best to provide you the information we have. And so we appreciate your patience as we continue to navigate the waters with you. So again, thank you very much. It's much appreciated, with you being here, expressing your concerns and sharing with us, and hopefully, giving us the opportunity to better be able to answer some of the questions that were posted and asked.
Okay. Yeah. And thank you to all of you, and thank you to all the board members, for everybody for working on this, new platform and trying to support our community right now, our Spring-Ford community. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll meet
Thank you.
again.